Most people know about Roth IRAs and the power of tax-free withdrawals, but fewer people realize that some employer plans, 401ks, 403bs, and 457s, allow you to do in-plan Roth conversions. That means you can take pre-tax money already inside your employer plan and move it to the Roth side, all without having to roll it over to an IRA. Done right, this strategy can create long-term tax-free income and reduce future required minimum distributions. Done wrong, and you're just creating an unnecessary tax bill. In today's video, we'll break down how in-plan Roth conversions work, the pros and cons, and how they compare with doing conversions through an IRA rollover. And then we will go over one bonus topic those of you with access to in-plan conversions have to further enhance your ability to build wealth. But before we get started, my name is Ryan Knoll. I'm a certified financial planner and founder of NAV Wealth Partners, a financial planning firm that helps clients nationwide make smart money decisions. Let's get started. What is an in-plan Roth conversion? Well, an in-plan Roth conversion allows you to take money from the pre-tax side of your employer-sponsored retirement plan, like your traditional 401k or something similar, and move it into the Roth side of your same plan. And when you do this, the amount converted is added to your taxable income for the year. The money continues to grow tax-deferred inside the Roth portion of the plan, but what's different is qualified withdrawals in retirement are 100% tax-free, just like a Roth IRA. This differs from contributing directly to a Roth 401k. Contributions are limited to the annual deferral cap, which is $23,500 in 2025, plus a $7,500 catch-up if you're over the age of 50. But with in-plan conversions, you can convert much larger balances at once. So you might be asking yourself now, why would somebody want to do an in-plan Roth conversion? Well, here's three main reasons that make them very attractive. First is reducing future required minimum distributions. Pre-tax balances in 401ks and IRAs are subject to RMDs at age 73 or 75, depending on when you're born. Those withdrawals are fully taxable and can trigger higher Medicare premiums known as IRMAA surcharges and Social Security taxation. Converting now shrinks the taxable bucket and grows the tax-free one while giving you more flexibility later on. The second advantage is taking advantage of low tax years. If you expect higher tax brackets in the future, either because of rising income, in retirement, required minimum distributions, or tax law changes, converting in lower income years today can lock in today's lower rates. Finally, you want to build tax diversification. Having money in both traditional and Roth accounts gives you more flexibility to manage taxes in retirement. You can withdraw from whichever bucket minimizes your overall tax liability. Here's what it'll look like step by step when you do complete an in-plan Roth conversion. The first thing you want to do is check your plan rules. Not all employer plans allow in-plan Roth conversions. Ask your HR director or review your summary plan description to find out if this is available to you. Second, decide the amount you want to convert. You can typically convert any vested pre-tax balance. Some plans even allow you to target specific contributions, like employer match dollars, for example. The next step is your conversion will then be processed. The plan administrator moves the money from the traditional side to the Roth side of your account. The next thing you need to worry about are taxes because they will be due on this conversion. The plan will issue you a 1099-R at the end of the year showing the taxable amount of your conversion. You'll need to pay the tax bill from non-retirement funds, otherwise you'll reduce the benefit of the in-plan conversion itself and potentially trigger a 10% penalty if you're under the age of 59 and a half. Finally, all future growth at this point is tax-free. From that point forward, the converted amount grows tax-free and will be distributed to you tax-free in retirement as long as the 5-year rule and the age 59 and a half rule is met. Now that we've gone through the workflow of an in-plan Roth conversion, let's talk about the pros and cons. On the pros sides, first is convenience. You don't have to roll funds out of the employer-sponsored plan into an IRA. Everything will stay within your employer plan, making this a very easy transition. Next is you have access to employer investment options. Some plans offer institutional funds or lowest-cost options not available in retail IRAs. This could be an advantage to keeping the funds inside of your plan. Third is you have the potential to perform large conversions. You're not capped by annual contribution limits. You could convert tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars in 1 year if it fits your plan. Next is you're building a future tax-free income bucket. Every dollar converted today and left to grow tax-free can reduce your tax burden later on. And finally, you're reducing your required minimum distributions. By shrinking your pre-tax balances now, you lessen the size of future required minimum distributions and increased flexibility when it comes to withdrawals in retirement. There are still some drawbacks, however, you want to be aware of when it comes to in-plan Roth conversions. First is there's going to be an immediate tax bill. Every dollar converted will count as taxable income. A $50,000 conversion will add $50,000 to your taxable income in the year it's done, possibly pushing you into a higher tax bracket if you're not careful. Next is there's no do-overs. Prior to 2018, you could recharacterize or undo a Roth conversion. That option's now gone. Once you click the button, the bill is locked in. Third, there's plan limitations. Some employer plans don't allow partial conversions, only full conversions, or limit how often you can do them. So please be mindful of how you're operating these types of conversions within your plan rules. Finally, there's less control over investments. While there could be some pricing incentive to leave your funds inside of the plan, some IRAs will offer broader investment options that employer plans simply don't have. Keeping funds in your plan may limit the choices you have for investing your money. So now that you know all the ins and outs of an in-plan Roth conversion, let's compare it to an IRA rollover, which you're then converting to a Roth. So when it comes to the in-plan Roth conversion, we know that it's going to stay inside of your 401k or your 403b or even your 457 plan. It's going to allow you access to institutional share classes and low-cost fund options if they're available inside of your employer plan, and it's easier administratively if you're still working at that same employer. On the flip side, an IRA Roth conversion, after you perform a rollover, there's some things that you're going to want to be aware of. First, it requires rolling pre-tax funds to a traditional IRA first, then you're converting that pre-tax IRA to a Roth IRA or a portion of it every year. This gives you more flexibility with investments and withdrawal rules, and it can be done at any custodian and gives you more control. The choice often depends on whether you're still employed and like your plan's investment menu. For those who've left their job, rolling to an IRA and converting there may give more flexibility than you have outside of inside of a former employer's plan. So let's cover some examples of when it will make sense and when it will not make sense to do an in-plan Roth conversion. First is if there's high appreciation inside of the plan, it might make sense to do a conversion. If your employer's plan has good investment options and low fees, keeping funds there while converting will be very efficient. Also, if you're still employed there, that could be another good reason. Some plans restrict rollovers until separation or until certain age limits are hit. If you want Roth exposure now, an in-plan conversion might be your only option. If you find yourself in a low income year and your taxable income is temporarily low, perhaps due to a job change, sabbatical, or partial retirement, in-plan conversions let you take advantage of those lower brackets. Finally, if you expect interest rates to rise in the future, converting at lower tax brackets now will be beneficial. But there are also some instances in which it would not be ideal to convert your balance to a Roth balance inside of your plan. First is if you're already in a high tax bracket. Converting large amounts in high income years can push you into 32, 35, or 37% tax brackets, having you pay more in taxes than is necessary. Also, if you lack cash outside of the plan to pay the tax bill, you're not getting the full benefit of the conversion, and you could be facing a 10% penalty if you're under the age of 59 and a half as well. Finally, is if your plan has poor investment options. If your plan is limited or expensive, it may make more sense to roll over to an IRA first and then do your conversion to have more control and better investment selections. Next, we're going to dive into a brief case study. But before we do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We are pumping out great content like this every week, and the easiest way to stay engaged with us is by subscribing to the channel. We appreciate your support as we continue to grow this channel and hope to see you here for many, many years to come. Now let's jump back to that case study. So we have Michael, and Michael's 55. He has $800,000 in his 401k, and he expects to retire at age 62. His plan offers an in-plan Roth conversion feature. Michael decides to convert $50,000 a year over the next 7 years via this in-plan conversion option. His taxable income is going to rise, but he's going to maintain his income level within that 24% tax bracket where he already finds himself. So by retirement, he shifted $350,000 into the Roth side of the plan. At 62, he's going to roll both the 401k and the Roth 401k into IRAs, traditional and Roth with the respective funds. The Roth IRA portion will never have RMDs. By converting gradually, he balances the tax cost, reduces future required minimum distributions, and builds a large tax-free pool that will continue to compound over the next 20 and 30 years. He's also set himself up to be able to take advantage of his low tax years or that retirement bridge strategy we've talked about in previous videos to convert the remainder of his pre-tax balance to Roth at even lower income levels than what he currently is paying now. Now that you know everything there is to know about in-plan Roth conversions, I want to leave you with 4 key points. First is to model your tax brackets. Don't convert blindly. Run a projection with your CPA or financial planner to make sure you're doing the optimal amount. Next is you want to pay taxes from outside funds. Never use the converted dollars to pay the tax bill. Third, spread conversions over several years. Fill lower brackets without spilling into higher ones. Fourth, know your plan rules. Some plans allow frequent conversions, others don't. Know the flexibility that you have. There's also one added bonus we haven't talked about when it comes to in-plan Roth conversions. On top of all this, inside of your company or sponsored retirement account, you likely would have access to one additional tool to supercharge your retirement savings if you can do an in-plan conversion. And this is where the Mega Backdoor Roth comes into play. And here's how it works. The upper limit on 401k plans is around $70,000. If you're under the age of 50, you can put in $23,500 as a pre-tax contribution. And let's say your company matches $6,500. That means you've used up $30,000 of your $70,000 contribution limit. So you still have $40,000 left to use at your disposal. What you can do now is make a non-deductible traditional 401k contribution and immediately convert it to Roth dollars within that 401k plan with no tax implications. This money then grows tax deferred and can be distributed tax-free in retirement. Doing that for decades is a surefire way to have millions of tax-free dollars in retirement. So you may be able to supercharge your Roth account without having to incur taxes through a taxable conversion. This works well if you have a lot of discretionary income and are looking to get tax-deferred growth on those funds for a long, long time. This is how many of my clients set themselves up to be tax-free millionaires once they enter their retirement years. So what's the bottom line here? Well, an in-plan Roth conversion isn't for everyone. The old file and suspend loophole in Social Security may be gone, but Roth strategies like this one are alive and well. For the right person, especially someone still employed in a low tax bracket or wanting to shrink future required minimum distributions, this can be a really powerful tool. The trade-off is always the same. Pay taxes now for tax-free growth later on. If you can stomach the upfront costs, the long-term benefit of Roth money in retirement can be very significant. If you want to know whether an in-plan Roth conversion is worth it for your situation, that's exactly what we do here at NavWealth Partners. We'll help you weigh the pros and cons, compare it with IRA rollovers, and design a tax-smart retirement strategy that fits your unique goals. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, make smart money decisions.